Welcome back, everyone. It is episode 4 of MPower. You guys already know what the deal is. I'm glad to be back. Are you glad to be back?
Bro, I'm so glad to be back, man.
So
That's not
glad.
even a question, bro.
Bro, I'm so glad to see your face, man.
I'm so glad to see your face,
It's
man.
insane, bro.
Beautiful young man.
Oh my
God,
gosh,
bro.
don't even start.
Let's not get started, bro. Let's get
Bro,
focused. Let's
literally,
get focused.
nah, because I mean, y'all don't know this, but I mean, between episode 3 and episode 4, it's actually been like, a little bit of time, maybe like a week or two.
Yeah.
Since
Busy, bro.
Yeah, God's doing a lot in our lives, but we're back recording, and we want to make sure we get these episodes to y'all on a timely manner. So this conversation that we're about to get into, it's gonna be it's funny because these topics always just come to me like randomly when I'll just be having a random conversation with someone. Yeah. And this specific topic of like staying vigilant and paranoia and all that sort of stuff, like I feel like I say this every episode, but it's something that not a lot of people talk about, or it's not like a common theme, but that's just what we like to do here at Empower. We like to talk about things that aren't normally talked about and get your thoughts on it.
I feel like it's necessary. It's necessary to talk about those things because in a way we're all thinking them. Yeah. Or they may be affecting our day-to-day lives. We just don't have the courage to talk about it. You know
exactly.
what I'm saying?
Sometimes we don't know to think about it. Sometimes it's a subconscious thing. And, this specific topic, it's very important. So without beating around the bush, let's just get right into it, I guess. We were talking about what topic. What is the topic? What's the conversation? So, all right, well, I guess without further ado, I kind of want to start off by asking you a question, my guy.
Let's get it, bro.
I hope you're ready. So are you a glass half full or a glass half empty kind of person?
Okay, so me personally, I'm still trying to work on it, but I would say I'm definitely more of a half empty kind of person because like I'm the type of person where, obviously you have goals throughout the day, you have goals throughout the week, goals throughout the month and things like that. But for me, at least, I tend to be too hard on myself sometimes. I tend to be too hard and I tend to be too difficult on, if I don't meet this or I don't meet that.
Oh, you're taking this to a whole nother level. I asked you about half empty, half full. I mean, that's true though. That is what it represents.
Yeah.
That is what it represents. But I was like, wow, that's crazy. This man's going deep. Off the bat, have we even been a minute into the show? Hold on. No, but that's real. Oh no, continue though.
No, you're good, bro. You're good. But yeah, basically, I tend to not appreciate the things, the little that I've done if it's not exactly where my goal is. Like if my goal is full, then if I'm not full, I'm not satisfied and I don't really pay attention to what's in. And, it's good to be strict on yourself and try to meet that goal, but it's also not good to not acknowledge what you've done.
Oh, no, for sure. I was kind of taking more of a basic approach to it. For me, I'm kind of just a glass half full type of person. I've always kind of just looked on as much as I'm aware of the negatives, and we'll get to that, of course, because that's what this whole thing is about. But, I'm also very appreciative of what I have in front of me because, when you're not dealt a lot of cards in life, you appreciate the cards that you have and you learn how to manipulate them and use them the proper way. But yeah, that's just me because you guys don't even see what we do, but before every episode, before we start, we always get 2 glasses of water, fill them up to the brim, and we just down them things. You know what I'm saying? Because we need that for ourselves. Honestly, I should have drank a little more because throat getting a little dry already, but that's fine though. But yeah, so me personally, I'm just that kind of person, glass half full type of person. That's just my outlook on life. But here's the biggest thing that I want us to take away from this episode, and we're gonna, continue into this conversation. Both are correct. And I don't think that people bother realizing that when they ask that question. Wow, excuse me, I don't know what's going on with me right now. I don't think people realize that, any thoughts on that?
Well, man, I think it's I think what you're saying is definitely true in a sense, bro, because a lot of people just focus on one or the other. And the question is it's a question that kind of incites a direct one answer. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Is it half empty or half full? You know what I'm saying? Are you a half type of person or are you a full type of person? It's I don't know. It sounds like one sounds better than the other, but yeah, I would love for you to expand on
No, yeah, because, and I'm glad that you brought that up because I think if you haven't realized by now, we're very much against extremes. Because life isn't meant to be lived on the extreme of either side, Like, not that you're supposed to be like lukewarm in any sort of sense, but like I'm saying you shouldn't be like, you're not supposed to be too loud, you're not supposed to be too quiet type of thing. Like there is a balance in lots of areas in life. And the same thing with these types of questions, like there's not one right answer for a lot of things in life. And specifically just for a basic question like, oh, is the glass half full, is it half empty? Both are technically correct. And you have to acknowledge that, because in life what we come down to realize is, it's the same thing in our day-to-day lives. We need to have a balance of optimism and pessimism. You can't just completely be like happy-go-lucky in the world and be like, oh wow, everything's great, everything's beautiful. Hey, that guy over there who's like charging at me at like 20 miles per hour, I don't even know if that's humanly possible, but he has a knife in his hand. I'm sure he's just about to go hunting or something. I'm sure
We love that.
We love that. Even though I'm the only specimen around in sight, I'm sure he has great intentions. Like obviously that's an extreme, but like that's how a lot of people have like a mentality. Like they, some people will just literally just look at everything like without any pessimism, or will look at it without any sort of doubt. And then on the flip side of that, some people will only look at the negatives. Like they will, and that's kind of where like things kind of like racism and starts stereotypes to come in, because they'll judge you based off of like a negative thing first without getting to know like the full story or whatever.
And like I love what you said. You touched on a lot of things, like especially the key word here is balance. You know what I'm saying? Being a believer, I've been meditating on this scripture for the past like year now, man, where it's like a false balance is an abomination to God. And that's not just scriptural, but I think it's just life in general, bro, too.
Right.
It's a perspective that can be taken, in every aspect of your life. And, the difference between optimism and pessimism, there is no difference in this area in terms of when to bring the balance. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be so far on the right side where it's like, negativity, you never see anything. But you also, don't want to be so far on the left optimism side where you don't look at life in a way that's realistic. Now, there's a big balance now, because me personally, if I had to choose between the two options, like, hey, if somebody was like, you must be either optimistic or pessimistic, I would go with optimistic, just because at least when you have hope, it's easier to train someone that has more of a hope issue to pay attention to certain things than someone that is completely negative and just has no idea how to talk about any type of positivity.
Wow, that's really good. I actually did not even think about that at all. Like, that's a very good point. As much as we like encourage balance, because that's the proper way to do things, but at the same time, like if you had to choose, it's like you said, it's much better to have hope and like have to train yourself to like look at the realistic side of things versus it's like teaching someone hope is almost hopeless, almost. But like that's kind of how it is, because like how do you give someone faith, how do you give someone hope in a dark time? Like that's tough, that's a lot, versus someone who kind of already has that, but maybe just wants to better themselves and keep themselves more accountable in check, so that way they like they acknowledge things that they need to.
I think that, like, from what you said, how do you in a way teach someone or show someone hope? I honestly just, based off of things that I've experienced, based off of things that I've seen, and just how we as people are in nature, I don't think it's physically possible to teach someone hope. I think all we can do as people towards each other is to guide them in areas where they can find that hope.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, as believers, like, we guide people in the area, hey, Christ, you know what I'm saying? Jesus, God, and we guide them in the area of the gospel. But we are, even in doing that, we ourselves are not like, yo, I am helping you get hope. I am teaching you hope. No, I'm just pointing you to a different source.
That's right. Man, you're on fire right now. That's crazy.
You're on fire right now, bro.
No, I'm learning a lot from you, because like that's real. All we can really do is guide people to that. You have a family member, a loved one who, potentially is just maybe going through a hard time. Like you have to guide them towards a hope, a brighter tomorrow, and that's something that's really hard, but ultimately we don't have all the answers. Check out episode 2. We're not perfect, but that's absolutely so right, and that's really what it boils down to. But again, though, like the main goal is to have that balance between optimism and pessimism. My biggest thing that I want to charge you guys with today is like, we have to stay vigilant. but we can't be paranoid, you know? Like, there's a difference, because I had a friend come up to me, you know, a few days ago. He was kind of just telling me, he was just like, man, like, I don't know, like, I don't know if I have everything all together. Like, I feel like maybe I'm just like doing things wrong in life, and this and that. And this is a thing that he's come up to me consistently about. And if you're listening to this, I love you, man. You know, this one's for you. But no, he was coming up to me consistently with that sort of mindset. And I'm just like, bro, like, I mean, I'm not going to say that like you're doing everything absolutely correct in life. I don't know what you know, everything that you're doing, but from what I'm seeing, man, like you're doing really well for yourself right now, you know? And it's like, you should be appreciative of that. You always want to keep yourself in check, be like, hey, what areas in life can I improve? How can I be more accountable at my job? How can I have a better work ethic for my dreams, my goals that I have in life? How can I be more consistent in like the gym or whatever? You always want to keep yourself in check in that sort of area. But at the same time, you have to acknowledge how far you've gotten. You know, and like that's so important. Did you have something?
Yeah, you're preaching to me, bro. You're talking to me right now.
Oh, this was something that hit hard for me too. This past summer, I really had to learn that about myself. Go ahead.
I'm learning, man, and I'm learning every single day to just look at things for what they are, because I'm definitely more of a person to fall on the paranoid side. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm off my workout routine or I feel behind in the slightest bit, man, it's like I just go overboard. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, wow, I'm so behind. I'm so this, I'm so that. But, you know, we were, not for an episode or anything, but, you know, just our conversation earlier, bro, about how you were telling me, you know, stop preaching to yourself. Just do it. You know what I'm saying? Just do it. Just, you know, look at for where you are, appreciate what you are. You don't have to prove anything to anybody. That's what you were telling me, man. And I was just like, wow, that's so true, because, you know, at the same time, this is another example of two different extremes that can be wrong if not balanced. You have people that are like, they're getting stuff done and they're doing good, and they're like, no, like you're just so paranoid they end up losing what they have.
Right.
Then there's people that just have no standards, and they're just like, it doesn't matter, and they're not, you know, propelling themselves forward in the areas that they need to propel themselves forward in. And so, at least for me, this is a blessing for me, because I'm personally in my life, I used to overthink a lot. I used to have a big problem with overthinking, and God delivered me from that. But, you know, every now and then I still have my moments where it's like, wow, like I'm being too hard on myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm being too paranoid about the situation.
No, absolutely. And while you're speaking about that, it kind of gave me a visual of like what that can look like, you know, just as a metaphor in our lives. You know, like you have this mountain and you're looking up, you're staring up at the top of it, almost kind of like in our trailer, like where we have like, you know, the top of the parking garage, you know, we're both trying to get to the top. We're trying to make it to the new levels in our lives, right? So what being overly optimistic looks like, you know, is like, wow, look at the top of that parking garage. I just took a step. That's amazing. I think I can rest here for a good 5 years, and, you know, maybe I'll take another step later on. Like, you know, I did a lot of work. That was tough. I should appreciate how far I've come. And now, yes, you took the first step, and that was amazing. We are so proud of you, but there's a lot more work to be done. You can't just quit there. Yes, you made the graphic for that business that you want to start, but have you bothered, you know, putting all of your items together? Have you bothered making a website? You made the first step, but like, what, you know, there's more to be done. You know, you made the first step in trying to go talk to that person that, you know, you have to reach out to by, you know, you shot them a text, but did you only send them a text one time, or have you been consistently kind of keeping up with them? And, you know, I'm talking to myself here as much as I'm talking to y'all. And that's what optimism looks like in our lives when we're trying to reach the top. What being overly pessimistic can look like in our lives sometimes is you look at the top of that and being like, man, how am I gonna get there? It is so far up. Like, what capabilities do I have of even? I might as well not even try. I might as well not even try to start that business. I might as well not even try to fix that relationship with that family member. Too much damage has been, you know, made. It's too broken. I can't do it. That's what the extremes look like in our lives. And you see how in either instance, it's keeping you from going further. We can't allow that to be the same thing in our lives, because when we do that, we keep ourselves from empowering ourselves to go to the next level. We keep ourselves from being able to reach the dreams that are on our hearts. We keep ourselves from that because we're getting all inside our minds. You have to get out of your mind. You should be the one having, you know, control over your mind, not your mind having control over you.
Wow. And, you know, what you just said, about being able to empower others. Like, in a way, I feel like when you lean on one extreme or another, procrastination, or just being so hard on yourself you can't move forward, not only are you hindering yourself, but you're hindering the dreams that you have, that God may have given you to inspire others, to change others, because you never know what you need to do is not only going to affect you, it affect other people in your life. So it's not just a betterment of yourself, but of other people. And I have a question for you, man.
So, talk to me, bro.
Such good stuff, bro. Such good stuff. This is really, honestly, like preaching to me, man, and it's really helping me minister and everything, and helping me, just get out there and get out of that mindset. So, like, where's the balance? How do you find the balance between being, pessimistic and optimistic?
Well, for me, this summer, like I said, I really had to train myself. I kind of had influences in my life, were telling me, look at this one way. I felt like I needed to look at it in a different way. Ultimately, what I had to do was I kind of just had to put myself through it. I had to put myself like on that journey of like, like climbing that mountain, getting to the top of that parking garage or whatever. Such a weird metaphor, but like I had to just keep walking, on one, like the little angels and the like devil in the cartoons or whatever on the shoulders. Yeah, it's like one shoulder was telling me, hey man, you did a lot. You could probably rest here, like you're good. And the other one is saying like, you still have so much more to go. Like, what are you doing? Like, just stop and just criticize yourself, that sort of thing. What I realize is when you keep walking and you end up kind of ignoring both, but also listening to both, eventually you realize, wait, I made it. I'm here. like I'm at the top, because I just decided to keep walking. And I took what both were saying with a little bit of with a grain of salt, because that's what we need to do sometimes in our lives. We need to take the influences, the voices in our lives, just a little bit of grain of salt, so that way we don't give them full, complete authority, because ultimately the only person who has complete authority over your life is God, He has the final say. Like, other people can give you advice. They can say, hey, maybe you should look at it this way, maybe you should look at it this way, but ultimately, like, they don't have the full answers. They're not perfect. They don't have the plan for your life. He does. But when you just keep walking and you take that with a little bit of grain of salt, then you realize, wow, like I made it here, because I didn't allow either one of them to stop me in my tracks. But I was inspired by both. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't listen to anybody in life. There are legitimate voices, like legitimate people who are trying to speak things into your life. They may not have all the answers, but they have a little bit of a glimpse. They can get you somewhere. They can give you a little pep in your step, but you have to be the one to make the decision to keep walking. So me personally, that's how I've learned to find that balance, is just keep walking. I was told one day, wherever you are, be there. And if you're on this journey to try to reach your dreams, to make a success story, you have to be rooted in that. You have to be grounded in that. Like, there's going to be a lot of things, like speaking things over in your head, in your mind or whatever. You got to stay locked in. You got to stay focused, moving forward, man.
Preach, bro. I hear you, man. I hear you, bro. Wow, man. Well, so, as someone that was delivered from overthinking, that is still working on some areas, and that, one thing that really helps me is giving it to a source. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Giving it to a source. I know for me, whenever I start to feel like, okay, I'm overthinking, I'm over contemplating, I'm stressing about the situation, I was like, God, I give it to you.
Right.
I give it to you, and I'm just gonna move on, do what you told me to do, focus on my day, focus on my purpose, whatever you want me to do throughout the week, and then you take care of that. And then that genuinely helps me, give it over, because the truth of the matter is, if you're in a very stressful situation, you have two options. You can look at it in an optimistic manner, a realistic manner, and just focus on how to make it better. Or you can stress over it.
Right.
Either one, it may not change the consequences, it may not change the circumstances, but at the same time, you might as well give yourself some type of relief. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're in a bad situation and there's nothing you can do about it, and you feel like there's no way out, you need to be able to give that to something. You need to be able to give that overthinking to something. You need to be able to give that situation. And what I mean by give it, I don't necessarily mean the situation is fixed instantly. But just your mentality and your perspective and the way that you view it, just giving that stress over to something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, as believers, it's God. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Any stress, any crazy, because life is crazy, y'all. Life is hard. It's
Life is
beautiful.
wild, bro.
Beautiful, but it's hard. You know what I'm saying? And like, for me, every single time I feel that type of stress or that anxiety or that worry, I just give it to him, and I'm just like, God, you take this. And even though me saying that prayer and giving that to him, even though it may not immediately change the situation, it's like, no, I know it's okay. You know what I'm saying? I know it's okay.
And that looks like different things for different people. You know, obviously us as believers, like, you know, we have our Father in heaven, you know, to give that to. And even if you're a non-believer, like, I mean, first off, like, you know, God is always there, you know. But I mean, whether you choose to, you know, kind of follow that mentality or not, like, the biggest thing that we want to at least, you know, give to y'all, you know, for our listeners who are non-believers, is just to, like, at least have a healthy outlet, you know. Ultimately, we believe, like, the best outlet, and really only outlet, is God. But, you know, like, don't let your outlet, you know, to give your stress away, your overthinking, don't let that be drugs. Don't let that be, you know, drinking things that are going to deteriorate you. Like, let it be something, excuse me, let it be something that's healthy, whether you have to write yourself notes and then maybe, like, throw them away or, like, you know, burn them. They're, like, legitimate, like, therapeutic stuff that can help you de-stress, not overthink, you know, that aren't necessarily, like, scriptural, you know. And I think both are equally important.
I think also, like, even as believers, even as people that give our situations to God, we still talk to people. You still need to talk to somebody.
Still got to go to therapy. Therapy is still, like, correct. Like, just because we have God doesn't mean that, oh, like, well, going to therapy is sinful because I'm not trusting in God. I don't know who told you that, but we rebuke that. That's not right. That's not correct at all. God never said that. What did Drake say in the album? They don't say that in the Bible. You don't say that in the Bible. No, literally, it don't say that in the Bible. No, legit. And the point is to have a healthy outlet to be able to, you know, give that overthinking to, give that stress to, so that way we can remain calm, cool, collected. Because that's what's very important, bro. Like, literally, I don't think people realize how important it is to maintain that homeostasis, if you will. That's a science word right there. Well, I'm pretty sure, you know,
big boy word right there.
Yeah, homeostasis, make sure that the system is in check. It's like at a happy medium. Like, if you're a police officer, if you're not in that homeostasis, bro, like, listen, you got a police officer who is, you know, let's say he's, like, trigger happy or whatever because he's, like, so vigilant. He's just like, I gotta make sure, I gotta look out for, you know, crime, someone, like, what's going on. If they, you know, and sadly, unfortunately, there are officers like that. Not all of them, but, you know, there are some out there. But, like, if there's an officer like that, that's gonna cost lives because he's gonna see something. He's gonna be so vigilant. It's gonna be like a vigilante, you know. He's gonna see something that he thinks is wrong, but it's really not, and potentially cost someone's life. Versus if that same police officer wasn't so vigilant, he was kind of just chill, like, everything's fine, there's no crime going around here, we can just be chill, then you're going to ignore actual problems that are being had, and then there's also going to be lives being cost. You see what I'm saying? Like, either instance of that extreme, like, lives are being cost, like, lives are being changed. And so that's why it's so important to have that, you know, stay calm, cool, and collected. In an interview, a job interview, when someone is interviewing you, you got to pay attention. You got to make sure it's like, okay, I got to be ready for any question that they might want to ask me, because, you know, interviewers, they like to throw you those, like, surprise, like, questions, those little curveballs to see how good you are.
Man, they know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing. They're not slick, but they trying to, like, keep you on your toes, make sure, like, hey, can, like, I actually, you know, trust you, or you just, like, did you just prepare for, you know, this specific set of questions? You know, the basic stuff, like, what's your name? What race are you? Even though you can tell I am black, you know what I'm saying? But, I'm so stupid. But, no, but yeah, like, you gotta remain vigilant so that way you can, like, you know, make sure you're ready for whatever they might ask you. But at the same time, though, if you're, like, mad nervous, like, oh, you know, like, that's wrong, you know. You can't be, like, so uptight that you just, like, lose focus, and then they're just like, bro, can you talk to me? Like, you know. And then on the flip side, you know, it's like, oh, if you're not vigilant at all, then you're kind of just, like, not paying attention at all, and you're just like, it's not going to be a good interview for you. Like, you have to have that medium in, like, so many different areas of life.
I'll tell you this, when you don't have that medium, when you don't have that balance,
that homeostasis, that's a $5 word. Yeah,
I'm gonna use that word, man. It makes me sound like 20 times smarter, bro.
Oh my gosh, just use it in the right context.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Yeah, that's true. Facts.
Imagine I wasn't using it in the right context, then I'm gonna look real stupid on this.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wouldn't look good. But no, you sounded good, bro.
I appreciate
sounded
you.
good.
No,
but basically, bro, like, when it comes to finding this balance and keeping yourself in check, and mainly just talking to someone about your overthinking, talking to someone about the stress, talking to someone about that optimism versus pessimism. Pessimism.
That man said pessimism.
Pessimism, and I correct myself.
Hey, no, but low key, like that's a good way to remember. It's a pessimism can be a pest to your ism, your mism, your
miserable makes you miserable.
You're pest and miserable. Now we're forcing it. Now it's whatever.
It's cool, bro. It's okay, man. But basically, bro, like, when you don't find that balance, it tends to blow up in other areas. And the police officer example is a perfect example of, you know, that undue stress, not talking about it, not going, and not only not having a source, but not finding resources and outlets, whether that be therapy,
right,
friends, or family that you can talk. Because I understand, like, not everyone has the greatest family situation. I understand that not everybody has the greatest, you know, upbringing and everything, and, you know, but even then, find a friend. You know what I'm saying? Find a friend that you can talk to. A friend sometimes can be 10,000 times, you know, more helpful than, you know, a family member. You never know. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right,
there are things, you know, he's a brother to me. There are things I can talk to him about that I wouldn't feel 110%, you know, comfortable sharing all of my family about. You know what I'm saying?
Even the Bible says a friend sticks closer than a brother.
Absolutely, man. It's just like, because my mom said this too. My mom told me something I'll never forget. She was like, when it comes to feelings, when it comes to stress, it's like a trash masher effect. Basically, imagine a trash can and you're filling it up with as much trash as you possibly can. You're just dumping loads in there. Eventually, you're going to start out fine where you can handle it. You can close the lid. But eventually, if you keep stuffing trash and you don't empty it out and you don't let it go, it's just going to keep going until it pops the lid off. And then it's a big explosion. And that explosion, from this analogy, can be, you know, portrayed in the example of a fight you may get into, you know, saying harsh words or going off on someone that you didn't mean to go off on, you know, messing up on the job. And you don't want to do that because those decisions, you know, life is short. You can make a decision in a moment of anger that affects the rest of your life, or in a moment of weakness that literally changes the course of everything. But those moments can be prevented if you just open up. And I know it's hard. I know it's uncomfortable. I'm the type of person where I'm working on opening up more because I used to be really bad at it. I'm still working on it. Not perfect. We're not perfect.
We're not perfect. Episode 2.
Episode 2.
Bro.
Listen to it, guys. But basically, like, you know, open up, because you never know how opening up, even though it may not feel good, even if it doesn't even make you feel better, at least you got it off of your chest. At least you can move forward in some capacity and move on with your life.
No, opening up for sure will make you feel better. Like, that's the best way to de-stress. Because like I said, even if you have to like write yourself a little note, or, you know, just rant to someone on FaceTime, whatever it is, you never want to get so wrapped up in your mind that you don't let your emotions out. Because when you do that, that's when it becomes easy to pick a side. Do you want to become so pessimistic about a situation, or do you want to just be like, well, you know what, it's so terrible, but I'm just going to forget all that and I'm just going to remain happy and completely ignore all the negatives? Like, you can't allow yourself to be one of the extremes, because it kind of goes into a little bit of our passion episode, because, you know, like, you never want to go completely in one way in a specific emotion, or else you're going to ignore like the consequences of the things that you're ignoring. So before we wrap up, you know, is there like a specific like you know, example you might have in your life where you just you know, maybe you just overthought it a little bit too much, you were a little too vigilant, or maybe you were a little too optimistic about something and kind of just led to a bad situation? Real quick.
Way too many to count, man. But I'm gonna pick one. So I know the biggest thing for me was it was probably, I would say probably the biggest struggle was probably my pornography addiction. Growing up, I had a terrible pornography addiction. Even though I grew up in the church and I knew the word, it was still one of those things that still had a grip on my life and still held me down. And at first, it was one of those things where, you know, I was curious, and then, you know, happened at a very young age. And I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't really pay attention to, you know, the damage that it was really doing to my spirit, man, and my soul.
Right.
But as time went on, it was less of I had 3 stages, basically: being oblivious to what I was doing, being aware of what I was doing, 4 stages, and then not caring what I was doing. And the fourth stage is when I genuinely wanted to break free, but I couldn't do it. And it was one of the hardest seasons of my life so far. And it was so much stress, and I was just like, God, like, I want to get free of this. I want to break free. I don't want this anymore. Please take this away from me. Please just take it away. And nothing was working. And I was overcompensating. I was overthinking. I was worrying. I was stressing, and I was doubting, because I was like, God, am I even really saved? You know what I'm saying? Am I really doing your will? Because, of course, in the word, you give your life to Christ, accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, confess your sins and turn away from your sin, but you still have to try to live right. But I wasn't looking at my heart, though. I was looking at my actions, and I was like, I keep messing up, and I don't know what's going on. I can't break this. And it led to a lot of depression. It led to numbness in my spirit, where I went through a whole season where I didn't feel anything at all. Like, it just, no pain, no happiness, no sorrow, just nothingness. But basically, happy ending to the story, though. Very happy.
We love those. We love those.
We love happy endings, man. But basically, my moment, I realized that I was trying to do it of my own strength. I was overthinking, and I wasn't giving it to God.
Right.
And I remember one night, it was a terrible night, and I was really fighting a temptation, and I don't know, I was just praying, and I was like, God, I can't do this. And he told me, he was like, listen, you can't do it. You're right. You're going to fall. But with me, you'll never fall again. With me, I'll break it. Just give it to me. Just stop stressing. Just give it to me. Acknowledge that you can't do it without me. Acknowledge that I can do it. And man, I didn't feel it in myself at all. Like, I was not feeling this, but I prayed, and I was like, God, in Jesus' name, break this. And I can't do this without you. And then I woke up the next morning just completely free. The urge gone, the taste gone, everything just gone.
That's awesome,
completely, man. Completely broken free. That example, that was probably the lowest so far in my life, where it was just like, wow, I can't break this, but I was trying to do it of myself.
It's crazy because, it's like, again, like when you get so wrapped up in your head and you're just like, you get so pessimistic, it keeps you from being able to like take that step forward and being able to get to where you want to be. So that's amazing. That's an amazing story. I hope that encouraged y'all. I hope this whole episode encouraged you guys. Obviously we're going to keep this going. We got a good thing going. So, we love you guys. We hope you enjoyed this 4th episode of Empower, and we will catch you guys next week. See you.
Peace.
We hope you guys enjoyed that video, and we have a lot more content coming your way. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and tune in every Saturday at 7 a.m. on whatever listening platform you may be listening to for a new episode of Empower. Catch you guys later. That works. That works.